Hello, my name is Dwight Gillespie. Welcome back to Change Your Life. We're sitting here with my friend Peter, and we're going to have another session here. Again, we're doing like 3 of these. I changed my hat. I put on the Philly hat for Kensington. Let's all imitate Kensington. Okay. Anyway, that's in Philly. You ever see the things? You can see them on YouTube. They like do ride arounds, or we don't want to call them drive-bys in Kensington. Or the zombies of Kensington. It's horrible.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's an open drug market, and it's gotten to a point in Kensington, Philadelphia, where they don't even try. Like they're beyond trying, and they basically send EMS in there when people die, and the cops it's open. People just shooting dope and smoking crack on the streets and. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to raise the kiddies. Yes, come to Philadelphia. Yeah, freedom, Philadelphia, freedom.
I always think about Reading Market.
I'm not familiar with that. Kensington, I know, and I know some people there. Yeah. My boy Methadon John. Shout out to Methadon John. And when you have a name like Methadon John, you kind of know where he's at, right? But John, God bless you. I know you're with us. You're one of us. Anyway. So in our last segment, we were talking about overall benefits of recovery. And I like to talk about the gifts of recovery, right? And I preach this because for me, there were 3 things that I got out of a recovery program that I couldn't get anywhere else, I believe, anyway. And I'll name them for me, and then we can discuss, what Peter feels he gets from it. The one is freedom from active addiction of whatever that it may look like to you as well. Whether it's drugs or gambling or sex or whatever it is, freedom from acting out on whatever it is that brought you into your particular 12-step program. Freedom from that, and I can't get that anywhere else. For me, I couldn't. I tried doing it through religion. I tried doing it through psychiatry. I tried doing it through reading self-help books. All of these things. It wasn't until I read the book that comes with my particular 12-step program that it said, hey, you got to stop, indulging whatever it is you're indulging in before any of this can get better, right? The second thing I got out of recovery that I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else is a God of my understanding. And what I mean by that is something that I believe in, that only I have to believe in, that I don't have to explain it to anybody. Nobody has to agree with it. I don't have to agree with theirs. And the reason I say I couldn't get that anywhere else is because if you go, and I'm not knocking, like I don't knock religious institutions. I happen to be of a particular faith, but that has nothing to do with this. When you are of a particular faith, in most faith-based organizations, a church, synagogue, a mosque, whatever it is, that's what you believe in. You believe in whatever God, that particular dogma states. In my recovery program, I have a God of my understanding. And the third thing that I got here that I was never able to get anywhere else was accountability for my life. Like, these are the 3 greatest things that happened, was to say, I'm here because I put myself here. I'm not here because, maybe I took beatings as a kid, or I wasn't loved enough, or I was loved too much. We had no money. We had too much money, like all of those things that we both hear people whine about all the things. It's not my fault. Yeah, my parents. Everybody's parents fucked them up. I don't care how good your parents. So I remember I had a shrink a long time ago tell me, all you are to your kids is couch fodder for when they get older, right? No matter how good a parent you are, that someday your kid's going to be laying on the couch going, I can't believe my father did that, like that. Yeah. But anyway, those are my gifts of recovery, and I don't know if what you see as what gifts you feel that you've derived from recovery.
Just 3?
You can have as many as you want. I mean, those are 3 that I got off the top of my head. That's pretty good,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, just 3. She's not getting as much out of it as I am.
Let me think about this for a second.
Now we got to think.
Off the top of my head, number 1, you talked about a God of your understanding, right? I found that to be a gift as well.
Yeah.
Figuring out what that relationship really looks like with God, whether it's through prayer, meditation, understanding what God's will is for me,
Mhm.
and to believe that it's good ultimately, and having the strength to not only accept it but to endure it because it might be rough.
Endure.
Might
Yeah.
be rough. It
Yeah.
might be
No,
a
I
trial.
agree.
It
Yeah.
might be a challenge, whatever it may be. But having the wherewithal to accept and endure and get through it, through maintaining that open communication.
Hmm.
That I think has been a huge gift of recovery because I pray, religiously. so,
You're a funny guy.
so I do. All right,
Yeah.
I do. I pray a lot, and that's my biggest prayer for God's will to be done,
Yeah.
to accept it, and to endure it, whatever the case may be. Um, freedom from active addiction. You talked about that too. That that doesn't come to mind right away. You know why? Because I struggled with it in recovery for like 6 or 7 months. Like, when is this going to lift?
Yeah.
The obsession to use. And I was extremely frustrated because I keep people, the freedom active addiction. It took 21 days and I was killed. Like, I'm here
Yeah.
suffering.
Yeah.
I'm ready to like run out the meeting.
And I've heard people say, I think for me, like freedom from active addiction happened right away. That didn't mean the obsession was lifted.
Okay.
And I never like to give the impression, because again, and we talked
two
about
different
this in the
things.
last one.
Okay.
Right. In the last one, when people say, oh, my worst day clean
Yeah.
is better. Like this whole idea, like I've heard people say it in recovery, right? Like, oh, I'm never going to use this thing again. And I'm like, really? Like, I'm never going to think about it. That's what they say.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about doing that in decades.
But you
I'm like,
see,
really?
that sentence is contradictory in itself.
Right.
The fact that you've said, I'll never think about it,
Right.
you've thought about it.
Exactly. Good point. I
Yes.
like that. You see, I didn't even put that together, because it disturbs me, because then when you have people who are fairly new to this
Mhm.
and are struggling with that obsession, it's like, look, dude, if I didn't have an obsession, I wouldn't have kept doing it. This is like, sticking your hand over an open flame, and
Yeah.
you know it's going to burn you, but this is like, but it might not be hot anymore. I don't know. Let me check. I still think about using from time. I mean, I've been clean, for a while now, over 11 years, and I can't say that I never think about it. It's not something that I'm obsessed with anymore, but I can't say that on a nice day I go, like I'm just chilling out here, and a bag of dope, you know what, and a glass of wine,
Yeah.
and a couple of cigarettes. That doesn't sound too bad. And maybe we could throw a hooker in there on a good day, And these are all things I don't do anymore. Like, I don't participate in any of those things anymore, but it doesn't mean that they're never going to cross my mind. And I think people get that confused too, right? Because people are like, why do I think about this? Well, because you're human.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, human beings like to dissociate. That's what we talk about. We were talking about sports. It's dissociative. Like, people like to dissociate from their life from time to time. You go out, you work 10 hours a day, you come home, the kids are a little loud, the wife is like, I don't really feel like dealing with this right now, but I have to. So, a glass of wine would be nice. You can't,
So another gift I would say is a template in which to apply my thoughts, or process my thoughts rather.
explain.
So if I get the desire to use, right, I can run that through a gauntlet, or playing it to the end. What is that going to look like? Oh, I have to text a dealer. Then I have to sit with that pit of my stomach, turning, spinning. Then I have to get in his car. Then I have to make sure there's no cops. Then I have to go upstairs.
Yeah.
Then I have to prepare it.
Yeah.
Then I have to use it. Then the first one is like, oh yeah. And now the rest of the night's going to be hell.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to a point where I can fast forward to the hell part.
Yeah.
So that's like,
Yeah.
great gift.
Right.
Great gift, because if I can hit that fast forward button to the end, it's a pretty good chance I'm not going to use just for today, right? Another thing that I would say is I am pretty convinced that my relationship with myself is no longer purely toxic, in the sense that I'm looking to help myself every day. I don't want to poison myself or set myself back. And again, going back to that template, I can apply that to not just using. I say, okay, if I have a thought of, okay, I want to act out, maybe be, promiscuous or maybe be careless with my money.
Right.
I have a pretty good sense of what's going to happen.
Right.
I know what the outcome is going to be.
How that all's going to play out. Yeah. How it's going to end.
You could start to really think in the quantum, in the sense of seeing every possibility by applying the principles that you learn in recovery, because they're applicable in all our affairs, right?
Yeah.
So that in itself is an ultimate gift, because if you can, again, going back to that paradigm shift, you can change how you think, you can change how you act.
Right.
That's the biggest gift right there, because then it becomes a domino effect.
Yeah.
Once you get into it, it's hard to get out of it. That's why it's hard for me to preach to people or give people advice. I can only tell you what I do, and in our program, that's what they advocate for, especially in 12, right? Just tell you what you do, but what works for you, and then if somebody can identify with that, that's awesome. But I can't tell you how to live, because I'm not in your shoes. I only can say what works for me.
Right.
And accepting that, not talking in the third person, or you should do this, or you that's another gift too.
Yeah.
You know, reducing the ego a little bit.
Yeah.
Bringing down the arrogance, but having confidence within myself to move forward and be productive at some capacity. Most of the time is awesome, because I'm like, I can look at my day and say, okay, I did something worthwhile today, or I worked on this a little bit, or I did something just a little bit better.
I'll be honest. I think that my day, and I believe this, my day is successful just to be able to say I didn't use today.
Yep.
Like some days it's just that I didn't get high today, and that's a big thing, because I know that once I start, I can't stop. Like there's just something in me, you know. I experience that with everything that I want to give up. I know I can't smoke a cigarette. I can't eat poorly. I can't do a bag of dope. I can't drink a drink. Because all of these things set something in motion for me. But I also understand that all of this is a process, and that's part of the acceptance, like the self-acceptance and stuff like that. That this is all a process. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. And I know there's one guy that comes to mind, and he's a great guy. He's a great guy. I've known him for 10 years. He'll come in, he'll do this for 90 days. And everything's got to be perfect for 90 days. I'm not going to have sex with hookers. I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. I'm not going to smoke crack. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to work out. I'm going to da-da-da-da-da-da. And he can do it for about 90 days. And then he's like, yeah, boom. And he just explodes. And he's right back out. And I tell him, well, why don't you just try not smoking crack? Let's just start right there. You know, like that's the basics.
Yeah.
And, because it is a process. Like all of this is a process. We talk like, am I never going to want to use again? Well, I don't know about you. I will, you know, because look, those things feel good.
Yeah,
It feels good. Like, you know, for me, I like heroin. Like I liked it, you know, and I love when people, I didn't care. Well, why would you ever do it again? Again, I go back to the open flame. You put your hand over an open flame. Very few people do that twice. There's very few people go, yeah, it felt pretty good. I think I'll do that again. And, you know, we become obsessed with these things because they feel good, not because they feel like.
Yeah, it's interesting that.
Well, you mentioned the spiritual, the playing the tape out.
Yes.
And you know my belief that there's nothing. I can't think of one single thing, nothing, that gives me instant gratification that doesn't have long-term ramifications. Everything I get quickly has a long-term spiritual downside for me. Like I can't think of anything.
I know I've been trying to counter you on this since we met, and I've had trouble doing it, because I was like, oh, what about a good meal? I still got to cook it, you know.
Well, you got to cook it, and most good meals consist of shit you shouldn't be eating.
Right.
You got to deal with the weight later. Like you can eat whatever you want, but then you got to do what.
Then, but you have to
and
find
I know,
it in
like
season.
Peter works out a lot. He's always in the gym and everything. So it's going to mean more working out. It's going to mean, you know, like all of these other things, and that's what comes from the good meal.
You know what's a good thought? I was thinking about instant gratification, but I don't even know if this counts, because you could have a good memory or a good thought, or you can relive something.
Sure.
But it's very fleeting. But I guess that doesn't have as much spiritual impact. I've been really trying to think about this, but I can't really counter it, because everything that for me that has worked has taken work.
Yeah.
Everything.
But this is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Like all of these things that make me feel good today are things that require me to put a lot of effort into. Getting healthy, being healthy, improving my mind, body, spirit, right? We talk about the triad, right? Mind, body, spirit. And what does that entail? It entails a lot of work. So I had a friend telling me, I've never been to Vegas. I'd really like to go. I'm like, I don't go to Vegas. Well, why? I said, because they have everything there that I can't indulge in anymore. I used to love. I was stationed in Sacramento. I used to drive to Reno on the weekends, and it was like the whole take your paycheck, and they would cash it right there. And I got $618 a month was what I was making, and they cash it and it was gone. It was like the South Park. There's a South Park episode where Stan goes to put his $100 in the bank, and it goes, and it's gone. And that's the way this was, because like Vegas, like. What do you got? Let's see. They give you free drinks, but you got to gamble to get them.
Right.
The hookers, they got hookers. You got a lot of drugs. Like there's nothing in Vegas. And my friends go, "Oh, I go for the shows." We're in New York City. I live in New York City, right? We live in New York City here. Shows like Broadway, Yeah. And I had another friend who said she was going to Atlantic City every weekend. I said, well, what do you? And I know what she was doing there, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing? Wow, we like the food and the shows. And she lived in River Edge, New Jersey, which is literally 20 minutes over the George Washington Bridge. I'm like, you're 20 minutes away from Manhattan. You drive 3.5 hours to watch some show and eat an all-you-can-eat buffet, really? Right. Like, I don't think that's why you're going to City. By the way, can you help me pay my rent this month? Yeah. Right. And again, there's nothing I can think of, Peter, that like all of that instant and we want it to be okay. We want it to be good. We want to be able to justify, but I can't. Like all of it, it doesn't matter what it is for me. Nothing that I get without work is of any long-term spiritual benefit. It's all in an effort for me to get out of wherever I am in that moment.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought about today. I'm not feeling great. And I was like, I could just stay home and I could just relax and I could just watch movies all day. But I've done that.
Yeah.
A lot of my life.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest with you. Even back then, even recently, like when I spend a day just doing nothing, I feel terrible about it because I feel like what a waste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at times I don't know if I'm just being obsessive or perhaps just overthinking things or just gotta go. But I also feel like one thing you talk about gift is like being aware of I have something to offer. I have to offer it. I have to give it up.
Yeah.
Because it was given to me. Whenever that capacity may be, whatever that is, I have children. I can't just ignore them. They're here. I have to spend time with them. I have to talk to them. My wife, I have to talk to her. I have to make an effort because it just seems for naught. Like life is extraordinary.
Yeah.
In the most profound way.
Right.
And in using in my addiction, I closed off to that deliberately because I didn't want to see it. Even in, I've done mushrooms or whatever, right? You take your head trips, when I was younger or whatever. And
it's the one drug I really miss, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anyway. Fine. You become one with the ancients or whatever.
Yeah.
But this right here, right now, this is real. This you can touch.
In this moment, right?
In this moment. That's all you have.
And it brings up another thing, is it's finite. Our time here is finite. And to get the most out of it, like, and I never traveled when I was using, like the last 10 years, like after the kids died, especially, like I didn't go anywhere. It got so dark after the kids died. And now I travel around the world because it's something to experience the beauty of nature and all this stuff. People, the great outdoors, right? In recovery, people use acronyms for God. People that don't want to believe in God or whatever, like they use these acronyms. And for me, the great outdoors is a good one because in those moments when I was losing my faith or when I had a hard time with my faith, getting out there. I remember going up to Cannon Mountain in New Hampshire once, right after I got clean, and I had been so disconnected from that, from nature, from the earth. Really, I know it sounds corny or whatever, but it was absolutely true. And going up to Cannon Mountain at night and looking up, and the Milky Way it's like you can touch it, and it's so immense, and it made me feel, it makes me feel powerful and insignificant all at the same time. That I'm all a part of this, and it really makes me feel a part of it. And it's another great benefit of being in this recovery process.
Another gift is the day, right? One thing I've been able to appreciate is the day. We have today. And that's awesome because I've thought about, my future and my past, my future, my past. What about right now? Right now is everything. Right now is all you have. So to appreciate that and to use it to the best of my ability, that's the gift. That's the gift, and then whatever falls in between that. So that's what I would say.
But you had talked before about the immaturity of using, and just wanting to be happy all the time.
Yeah.
Or,
That's unrealistic.
That whole, but I want to feel good now, and this is why I do this. And
happiness is very fleeting, extremely. You're lucky if you get to feel true happiness because your brain gets filled and you're not even responsible for the thoughts that go in your head. They just pop in. But to have a sense of fulfillment, achievement, to accomplish a goal, that's something that I would equate to being more valuable than happiness. That's a triumph.
And it's another thing that I learned in recovery is that this too shall pass. Like that phrasing, because it was when I was younger, and not when I was you guys, Walter and you, when I was your age in my mid-30s. Like I still believed like every feeling I had was the feeling I was going to feel for the rest of my life. I'm depressed. I'm going to be depressed for the rest of my life because life sucks, and I'm going to be depressed. I'm happy. I'm king of the world. And no matter what it was, but to realize, like you said, it's a feeling, and all feelings are fleeting. And what I look for now in life is contentment. What course is my life on right now? Is it on a good course? And that has become more important than happiness and feeling good all the time. Because feeling good you can't. And it's funny when people who use tell me that, like I want to feel good, but do you feel good when you're using all the time? Because it's always, I talk to people in church basements on a Saturday night in some dank church basement at a recovery meeting, right? When they're like, yeah, but I want to feel good. I'm like, well, why are you here then? If what you were doing is making you feel so good, what are you doing here? Like, you don't stumble into any recovery program. You don't go to Gamblers Anonymous because you bought a $2 lottery ticket and it lost. That's not how you wind up there. You wind up there because you bet the house away from underneath your family. Yeah. You stole from your job to pay your gambling debts. The loan sharks are coming out. That's why you're there, right? You don't come here. You don't go to AA or NA or because I was late for work one Tuesday, and it's not no. It don't work that way. But anyway, these are the gifts, right? And would you trade it?
For what? What is it
to
trade
use
it for?
Again? To use again. Do you think there's ever a point where you could say it would be worth it? Because we're going to end this segment now. The gifts you've received, they've been worth it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it. So, no, there's no reason to trade any of the gifts, despite how difficult it is to maintain it and to just be sat here with my feelings all the time. There's nothing that using will give me that would outweigh this.
Yeah.
It's just quality of life.
Yeah.
Quality of the moment. Being in the moment. That's it. There's no more than that.
And because you keep bringing up good things. We just went through the holidays, and I'm glad it's over. And the holidays this year were rough for me. They really were. I don't have a significant other in my life right now. I'm at war with my ex-wife, right? And my kids are gone. My kids died, a long time ago. But still, I don't have these things, and I have 6 brothers and sisters who we don't have anything to do with one another, which is a real shame. And so sometimes the holidays can be rough, and they were rough this year. And I'm 60. I turned 60, and being 60, and all this stuff is going on. And but I know it'll pass. Like this again, this too shall pass. If I start using over it, right? If that bag of dope sounds like a good idea, or going and gambling, because I can get off just as easily on any one of these things. And again, it's hard to say what fellowship, because I could be in any one of them. Like, I have problems with anything that makes me feel good. I use until it makes me feel like shit. Like, and that's true, whether it's sex or gambling or drugs, whatever it is. But if I were to use, the holidays would be over. That feeling would pass, and I'd still be left with the addiction. I'd still be left with the using. And that's why, even in those moments when I'm not feeling my best, when I am kind of feeling sorry for myself or whatever it is, I know that using isn't an answer, because you said it. You play that through. What does the end of this look like? Because those feelings are going to pass. And now you still got to deal with this shit. Like, I bring this shit back into my life, anyway. But it was nice talking. How do you want to end this up? You want to?
I would just say the gifts that you receive in recovery are what you're willing to put into it. And how many you can receive is how much you put in. Yeah. Simple as that.
Get what you pay for.
Exactly.
All right. Good enough. That's Peter White. This is the Change Your Life channel, and we appreciate you coming. We'll see you next time in the next segment. We're going to do another one with Peter here, and we'll be right back. Be well.